With the launch of the PS5 happening only a few weeks ago, the 9th generation of consoles is upon us, boasting new graphics, faster load times, and brand new gaming experiences. Okay, maybe not so much that last part, as the true flagship exclusive for the PS5 right now is Bluepoint's Demon Souls, a from-the-ground-up remake of director Hidetaka Miyazaki and From Software's classic 2009 PS3 title. And while the younger brothers of the Souls series have gone on to make the franchise a household name, it was Demon Souls that laid the groundwork for its successors to greatly surpass it in the years following its release. Although, I think just leaving it at that is throwing the baby out with the bathwater, because Demon Souls is not only an excellent game in its own right, but a unique, challenging experience that is sure to please anyone from complete Souls novices to veterans of the series such as myself. As of the time of writing this review, I have completed 4 full playthroughs, as well as gotten the Platinum on PS5. Going through Demon Souls was a very refreshing experience for a longtime Souls player like myself. A lot's changed since 2009, and looking at the approach From Software has taken with their newer titles such as Bloodborne, Dark Souls 3, and even Sekiro, their games are now focused on very upfront and aggressive combat systems that encourage very offensive-driven strategies. That's why it felt so nice to slow everything down in Demon Souls. Shields are extremely viable in this game, giving you a really great combat loop of block and counterattack that never really got old in my near 60 hours of playtime. That's not to say that I spent my 4 playthroughs just turtling though. Quite possibly, Demon Souls' greatest strength is the build flexibility you have. After completing 1-1, you have the ability to warp to any of the 5 areas from the main hub world of the game, the Nexus, meaning that you can acquire core equipment your build needs in a very short amount of time. This general openness to how you explore the 5 levels is going to differ each time you play it too, giving Demon Souls an extremely high level of replay value. My second and third playthroughs consisted of me using a magic build as opposed to pure melee, focusing instead primarily on casting high-powered spells from a distance. It's a radically different way to experience the moment-to-moment gameplay of Demon Souls, molding my progression very differently. Every playthrough I did, I would cleanly sweep through some areas of the game I previously struggled with, but would also struggle with other areas I had no issues with the first time around. More than any other Souls game I played, Demon Souls constantly requires you to take a step back and reevaluate your strategies and active equipment. For example, the second level of the game, Stonefang Tunnel, features enemies that are highly resistant to both normal and slash attack types. However, these enemies are greatly weak to both piercing damage and magic, making you constantly try new weapons, playstyles, buffs, and magic. I wanted to have a dedicated section of the review speaking about the difficulty, as for better or worse, it's what gave the Souls series its infamy. While Demon Souls is challenging in its own right, I found its overall difficulty to be quite a cakewalk when compared to From's more recent outings. Compared to the true test of prowess bosses featured in Bloodborne or Dark Souls 3, the Demon Souls equivalents are quite frankly laughable. This isn't a knock against the game, however, since that's not Demon Souls' end goal. It wasn't designed as a game that's hard for the sake of being hard, but as a game with a base level of challenge that can be overcome if you keep trying and improving your skill and character. But while I found all but one of the bosses very easy, seriously, I beat the last third I did on my first try, the actual exploration is another story entirely, as Demon Souls asks the most of the player not during the boss fights themselves, but during the act of exploring each of the game's levels. New archstones, which act as your official checkpoint so to speak, are only ever unlocked after defeating the level boss for an area, not found throughout the world like in later Souls games. This gives the game a very classic old school style of difficulty, similar to the likes of Castlevania or Ninja Gaiden, where the challenge is not found in overcoming a specific obstacle, but overcoming a gauntlet of enemies, traps, hazards, up to and including the area boss. Overall, I would say that for anyone who has been interested in the Souls series, but has been turned off by the difficulty, I think Demon Souls is a genuinely good starting point and a really great way to get yourself immersed into the mechanics and levels of the Souls series. And speaking of levels, From Software has been well regarded for their spectacular level design for over a decade, with Demon Souls being no different. Each of the 5 worlds has a very distinct look and feel to it, even going further by having each of the individual boss archstones within the levels feel different from one another. For example, in the third world of the game, the Tower of Latria, the Prison of Hope is a very claustrophobic, multi-leveled structure that is easy to lose your bearings in if you aren't paying attention, whereas the second area replaces the guardrails of the prison walkways with gargoyles that block your path on treacherous, thin bridges. The game works hard to make every individual area memorable, and I can now navigate most of these levels like the back of my hand. It's a shame though, with the exception of the first world, that after defeating a second level's boss, it's a quick free jaunt to fight the world's archdemon, which is the final fight of each world, with little to mostly no enemies or obstacles in between. Demon Souls might even come off as a little half-baked to fans of the later Souls titles. Even I felt a bit hollow after finishing my first playthrough and thinking to myself, that's really it? But Just one playthrough doesn't tell the whole story, and I don't just mean the deep, cohesive lore there is to discover for yourself or on YouTube, I don't judge. Chances are your first playthrough is going to completely skip past a majority of NPC side quests, some hidden or off the beaten path additional area sections, and even entire gameplay mechanics like character tendency and world tendency, all of which are not required to actually roll credits, but they do a lot to make the experience way more engaging for those who want to dig beneath the surface. Now, quite possibly the best reason for the existence of Bluepoint's remake is the revival of Demon Souls online multiplayer. It was a real shame back in 2018 when the original PS3 version's online was shut down, as more than any other Souls game, Demon Souls was meant to be played online. Character and world tendency, as mentioned earlier, are required to access certain unique items, weapons, and trophies, and getting your world to pure white or pure black can be very challenging in single player, albeit possible. Demon Souls Online is a chaotic mix of cooperation and competition. While in body form, you can summon other players to help with levels and bosses alike, but you also have to deal with invaders, other players coming into your world to try to kill you and steal your souls. The level design of Demon Souls, combined with the lack of the later game's direct PvP modes, makes this some of the most wacky, Wild West multiplayer you will experience in a Souls game. And with the addition of a password system, it makes hooking up to co-op or invade with your friends a pleasant breeze. Which leads me to the remake aspect of this specific title. Bluepoint Games have done a genuinely excellent job of staying true to the game feel of the original PS3 title, all while improving the game's overall look. On PS5, the game looks beautiful running at 4K, and plays even better than the original at 60 frames per second. Despite not using ray tracing, Demon Souls on PS5 has some of the most immersive lighting I've seen in a game. Every area has diegetic lighting, meaning by throwing a light-producing item like a firebomb, it will not only explode into a ball of flame to hit enemies, but will also light your way for a couple seconds, helping you see what's ahead of you. However, not everything made the jump to PS5 with flying colors. Your mileage is going to vary with how some of the redesigns and updates to the original art direction is going to affect you, but personally for me, I'm either a fan of or indifferent to about 75 to 80% of the community's most disliked aesthetic changes. The most egregious in my opinion is the new minimalistic HUD. It's become a bit of a Bluepoint staple, also being seen in their Shadow of the Colossus remake on PS4. It gets the job done from a mechanical perspective, however its sleek look and sans serif font doesn't really vibe with the rest of the aesthetics of the game, with the molded cherry on top being the "You Died" screen, which looks flat and weak compared to the original's more thicker serif font. But maybe that was the point, as dying in the Demon Souls remake does feel less impactful than in the original. But this isn't due to an added easy mode or casual difficulty level, which thankfully wasn't touched, but because of the PS5's internal SSD. The load times are consistently less than 4 to 5 seconds, be it after death or using an Archstone to warp to and from the Nexus, or even between different areas, a very welcome addition to the remake, which lets you reload an area or go somewhere else without always having to make a pit stop at the Nexus. This does wonders not only for making the game's difficulty much more manageable for first-time players, being able to hop right back into the action after dying, but also drastically speeds up resource and material farming. I don't think it replaces the original game by any means. To be honest, I think that's an impossible expectation for any game remake, but I believe that Bluepoint has done an amazing job updating the 2009 classic, making this the genuinely definitive way to experience Demon Souls. And Demon Souls is a game you owe it to yourself to play. If you've never played a Souls game before, this would be an incredible place to start, and if you became a Souls diehard through the series' later entries, I think you'll come away from Demon Souls pleasantly surprised with how different it is from the rest of the Souls series. Very rarely do we see a game that's combat, level design, and addictive gameplay loop get matched with truly cutting-edge graphics and sound, making Bluepoint's remake the first essential PS5 title. Thank you so much for watching our review of the Demon Souls remake. If you're interested in picking up the game for yourself now, make sure to watch our Demon Souls Ultimate Beginner's Guide, which features all the tips and tricks you'll want to know if you've never played a Souls game before. And if you like this video, make sure to hit the thumbs up below the video and to subscribe for more reviews, guides, and other base gaming content, all here on Turnstyle. Take care.